Hello my loves and welcome back to my channel. Today's video we're going to be talking about how to read and decipher a natal chart, which is also known as your birth chart. This is a snapshot of where all the different planets were when you were born, and within reading this you can discover so much about yourself, your personality, your skills and talents, even skills and talents that you didn't even realize that you had. You can learn so much about the different challenges or conflicts that you might have in your life and how you can bring ease to them and all of that different stuff. Reading your natal chart can reveal so much about you, and I'm so excited to show you how to read this. Even if you are a complete beginner and you have no idea what you're looking at, I'm going to show you all of the basics and how you can begin to read this in depth. Most people who've heard of astrology before know their sun sign, and they might be like, oh, I was born on like June 1st, I am a Gemini, or I was born on September 8th, I am a Virgo. But some people don't know that you actually have multiple zodiac signs. So your sun sign is what most people are referring to when they're talking about their zodiac sign, but they actually also have a Mercury sign, a Venus sign, a Mars sign, Jupiter, Saturn. All of the different planets were in different places at the time that you were born, and almost nobody on this planet has the same birth chart unless they were born on the same day, the same year, the same month, at the same time, in the same city. Even if you're born at the exact same time as somebody else, but you're born in a different city, your chart's going to be entirely different. Or if you were even born 10 minutes after someone, so for example, twins, if you have a twin but one twin was born 10 minutes prior, your chart might be entirely different than that person, because the constellations, like the ecliptic, is always moving. Our Earth is always spinning, and there's always different constellations in different places, and then that changes the entire natal chart. So your natal chart is like your fingerprint. It is unique to you and reveals so much about you. And even the people that tend to not really believe in astrology at first, once you get a really good astrologer to read their natal chart, most people's minds are blown, because it's just so detailed and so accurate and so specific to that person that nobody else would really relate to that, because it's so detailed. So let's dive into natal astrology. The first thing that I want to talk about is some people think that their astrology is their destiny. When they see a negative thing in their chart, they feel like they're bound to that. But I really want to let you know that your astrology, anything within your astrology, is just your autopilot state. So your natal chart, this is just a fingerprint and blueprint of your autopilot energy. But we all have free will, and you can take, your natal chart and learn from it and say, oh, I have this negative aspect. I can just be aware of that, but now I can change it. Now I can use my own willpower, my own conscious awareness to shift that, to learn from it, to change it. And your astrology, even those negative aspects, they are there for a positive reason. Every negative thing that we go through in life brings us growth and learning, and it's all part of your soul's divine destiny to go through those things for the evolution of your soul, so that you can unlock more of your purpose, who you're meant to be, and the different lessons and things that you're meant to learn from, so that you can become that ultimate version of yourself. So natal chart, natal astrology, all of astrology just helps us uncover more of that. So if you look at your chart and you're like, oh no, I have this negative aspect, don't worry, you're not bound by that. You're still good to go. All the negative things are actually positive things at the end of the day. And again, you have free will. So let's dive into the astrology and learn more about your autopilot state, how you can read your natal astrology and discover more about yourself, your soul's purpose, and your reason for being here, and all the different aspects that makes you you. So in order to calculate your birth chart, you're gonna need to know the exact date that you were born. So the month, the year, and the exact day. And then you're also gonna wanna know the exact time down to the minute that you were born and the city that you were born in. If you do not know the exact time or the exact city that you're born in for whatever reason, you can still calculate some things within your natal chart, and they will still reveal a lot about you. And I'll have timestamps linked down below with little descriptions of like, oh, focus on this part if you don't know your exact time or whatever, because other parts of this video are going to be irrelevant to you if you don't know your exact time, because then you're not going to be able to know your house system and your ascendant sign and your midheaven sign. I always say midheaven. And next, you're gonna need something to actually calculate this for you, unless you wanna do it by hand, which ancient astrologers used to do that, but you can either go to a website such as astro.com. Astro.com, you can look at your natal chart for free and it'll calculate it for you and give you that beautiful wheel with all the different signs and symbols on it. Personally, the app that I love, and if you want to take astrology more seriously, I would highly recommend downloading the app Astro Gold. It is top tier in my opinion. It is so accurate and it has all the symbols and asteroids. You can even look at different asteroids in the galaxy and other different celestial bodies. Downloading an app like that can be really beneficial, but you do need to pay money for that app. I think it's like $50. For me, it's worth it, but then again, I look at astrology all the time, so it's worth it for me, but there is also free resources. I'll have some linked down below, such as astro.com, that you can check out to look at your natal chart. So when you first pull up your natal chart, your birth chart, you're gonna see this wheel, and what you're looking at when you're looking at this wheel is the Earth. Imagine the Earth in the center, and then the horizon or horizontal line that you have going through it, that's the horizon line. So imagine you're standing on the exact place and spot that you were born, that's the horizon line, and you're looking at the sky. So the sky is that northern hemisphere of the chart, and then below the Earth is that southern hemisphere of the chart. So the sun within the natal chart, within astrology, the sun will actually rise on the left hemisphere of the chart. So that is the eastern hemisphere of the chart. And then it's going to set in the right hemisphere of the chart and then go below the Earth. So that is what you're looking at when you're looking at this chart. Imagine you're standing at the center from the exact spot that you were born at the exact time. This is where all the planets were along the ecliptic. So that wheel that goes around it with all the different symbols, those are the zodiac symbols around it, and that is where the constellations are, which is called our ecliptic. It's the path of the sun and the moon. And then all the symbols on the inside of it, those are the scattered planets and where they were. And then you'll notice that this whole wheel is divided up into 12 sections. And these 12 sections are known as the 12 houses in astrology, and they represent different aspects of our life. Again, if you don't know your time that you're born, the houses are irrelevant. Don't pay attention to those because those aren't going to be accurate for you. But if you do know your time and you do know the place that you were born, the housing system is going to show the different areas of your life. And depending where your planets are scattered and which zodiac signs you have where is going to determine how those different areas of your life are being expressed and the different energies that you have within those areas of your life. So that's what you're looking at. I'm also going to have a free PDF linked down below that you can download for absolutely free. There's explanations of the zodiac signs, there's explanations of the planets and their meanings and their symbols, and there's explanations of the houses and their meanings as well. So if you want to download that, that's there for free. It's just a really simple reference sheet that you can reference, especially if you're a beginner. It makes things really easy to follow along with in this video and also begin to decipher your natal chart and somebody else's natal chart. So that is linked down below. So when you're first taking your first glance at this chart, there's a few different things that you can look for to begin to pull some information about that particular birth chart. So if you have most of the planets at the top hemisphere of the chart, this indicates that you're more outward focused, and usually you're more extroverted or focused more on external things. You're usually more in the public eye, and you live your life a little bit more extroverted, a little bit more seen, and you're more open. If you're the opposite and you have most of your planets in that lower hemisphere, it indicates that you're more introverted and more inward focused. You're more reflective and probably more private with your life as well. If you have more planets focused on the left hemisphere of the chart, this makes you much more independent and self-focused. So you're really good at doing things on your own. You're kind of just a do-it-yourself type of person and really independent. If you have most of your planets on the right hemisphere of the chart, this indicates that you work better in groups, or you work better when you're with some type of companion, with somebody else, and you like to be more surrounded by other people, or at least having some type of companion to walk through life with. Even if you don't have planets on a certain area of the chart or something like this, if you have an empty space, it does not mean that you lack that quality. I really want to make that clear. If you have a house that's empty with no planets, or if you have a certain hemisphere of the chart that doesn't have any planets, it doesn't mean that you lack the qualities of that area. It just means that most of the time your energy is focused on the areas that are more condensed with planets, but it does not mean that you lack the other other side of things. And if you have equal placement of your planets within this chart, that means you have an equal balance of all those different qualities within the different hemispheres of the chart. And if you have 3 or more planets in a particular house, this indicates that you have a stellium. This is where you have a massive amount of energy in one area of your life. So if you have a stellium in your 6th house, you are probably very work focused, work oriented. You like to be of service to others and you like to feel like you're doing something and being productive. That would indicate that. If you have a house that lacks any planets in it, it doesn't mean that you lack that area of your life, but it indicates that there's not necessarily a huge concentration of energy there for you. However, there's other ways of seeing what's going on within those houses. So if you have a house that's completely empty, if you look at the sign that's on the cusp of that house, that's going to reveal more about how that particular area of your life is unique to you and how it's expressed uniquely in your particular life. So let's say that you have Capricorn on the cusp of the 2nd house. Capricorn is very disciplined. They are very critical thinkers, but they're also incredibly hard workers. Being on the cusp of the 2nd house would indicate that you are very focused, disciplined, and determined with your money. This would indicate that you probably have high goals with your money, high standards when it comes to your money and your self-worth and your savings, because all of that deals with that 2nd house. When you combine the zodiac sign with the house, that's where you get to reveal more about that particular area of your life. Because again, the houses indicate the area of your life. These zodiac signs are how it is being expressed. And then the planets indicate the different aspect of you and what is being expressed within that area of your life. So what's being expressed, how it's being expressed, and the particular area that it's being expressed in. Another thing that you can look at is seeing which zodiac signs are most common throughout the chart. So if you look at the different planets, you'll see that the different planets are in particular zodiac signs for you. And you might have certain zodiac signs that are more common. So you might have a bunch of Scorpio placements, or you might have a bunch of Leo placements, or so on and so forth. And each zodiac sign corresponds with an element, and it also corresponds with something known as a quality. There's of course 4 different elements. There's water, earth, fire, and air. And there's also 3 different qualities known as fixed, cardinal, and mutable. And each zodiac sign corresponds with one of each of those things. And you can discover a lot about yourself or someone else by looking at the zodiac signs and the different elements and the different qualities of those zodiac signs. So first, I want you to look at which elements are most dominant and prominent within your chart. If you are fire dominant in your chart, meaning you have a lot of Sagittarius, Leo, or Aries, this makes you more outgoing and action oriented. If you have a lot of earth signs, which are Taurus, Virgo, and Capricorn, that makes you more practical and realistic. If you have a lot of air signs, known as Gemini, Libra, or Aquarius, this makes you more intellectual and people-oriented. If you have a lot of water signs, which are Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces, this makes you very emotional and intuitive. And you might have a mix of some of these. So you might be very air and fire dominant, or maybe you're water and fire dominant, or maybe you have a lot of earth signs, but not a lot of the other signs. Whatever your particular mix is, this is going to reveal a lot about your personality based on which elements are the most dominant for you. Or maybe you have a very equal mix of all of them, and that just makes you have a lot of each of these aspects within your own personality. And then next, you can take a look at which qualities are dominant within the zodiac signs. So cardinal zodiac signs are Aries, Cancer, Libra, and Capricorn. And you'll notice that those are the signs that are at the beginning of each season. So Aries is the beginning of spring, Cancer is the beginning of summer, Libra is the beginning of fall, and Capricorn is the beginning of winter. These are our cardinal signs. And if you have a bunch of cardinal signs, it means you're very active, self-motivated, ambitious. You are a trendsetter, leader, and an idea creator. The next quality is the fixed quality, which all of my fixed zodiac signs are the ones that are in the middle of each season. So that's Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. fixed quality type of people, if you have a lot of fixed zodiac signs in your chart, this makes you really determined, consistent, loyal, reliable, patient, and they're very known to carry out their plans. And lastly, we have our mutable signs, which are Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces. If you have a lot of the mutable signs in your chart, you are highly adaptable, easygoing, flexible, communicative, and optimistic. So those are our 3 qualities, and depending on which qualities are present the most based on the different zodiac signs that you have, will bring you a lot of those particular types of energies. And next, let's talk about our 4 cardinal angles or anchors within the chart. So of course, we talked about that horizon line that we have, but we also have a vertical line going through the chart. So if you fully split that chart into 4 quadrants, we have a horizontal line and a vertical line. Occasionally the vertical line will be like slightly altered depending on the different hemispheres of your chart and the different houses and their sizes. You'll notice that some houses have different sizes if you're working with a Placidus chart. There's something also known as a whole house system. So if you're working with a whole house system, it'll make sure that each of the houses are of equal size. And so if you're looking at that and you have all equal sizes, you might be on a whole house system, but you can also work in a Placidus system and it'll slightly change the sizes of the houses depending on where you were born in the world. And this will all be unique to you and your chart. But you'll notice that the vertical line might be slightly altered. It might be slightly to the left or slightly to the right. But these different lines actually have great symbolism and meaning. So first off, your horizontal line. Over on the left corner of the horizontal line, the zodiac sign that sits there is going to be known as your rising sign. This is your ascendant, because as we talked about earlier, that's the area of the chart that's rising. Those are the constellations that are coming up on the horizon. And then over on the right-hand side of the chart is the constellations that are descending and going below the horizon line. So if you look at your zodiac sign that's right there on that horizon line on the left-hand side, that's going to indicate your ascendant sign or your rising sign. And a lot of people, you'll hear a lot of astrologers talk about like, oh, what's your rising sign? Your rising sign indicates so much about your personality and how you come across. Your rising sign is your external expression in the world. This is how you come across to people right off the bat. It's the face that you wear externally. So a lot of the times when people try to guess your sun sign, if you're like, oh my God, guess what zodiac sign I am? A lot of the times people will actually get it wrong because you actually express more of your rising sign when you meet people for the first time. And it's only when people get to know you on an intimate level that they get to know more of the sun sign that you actually are. But then if we go to the opposite side of our ascendant, we have our descendant. So this is known as the AC/DC line because it's the ascendant and descendant. Your descendant is the zodiac sign that's on the cusp of the 7th house. It is the zodiac sign that was descending on the horizon line when you were born. This represents how you act in relationships. This represents a lot about your close relationships, business partnerships, and long-term friendships, and the qualities that you might look for in a partner, or even the general character in your close relationships and the people that you kind of get along with, or the dynamic that you tend to have in your relationships. And the next thing that I want to talk about is that vertical line. At the top of that vertical line, we have something known as your midheaven, and this represents so much about your purpose, your skills, what your soul is meant for. It can indicate the direction that you want to take in your career, and it also indicates how you perceive status, how you perceive achievement, and how you perceive success in your lifetime. So depending on the zodiac sign that sits on the cusp of your 10th house, known as your midheaven, that zodiac sign is going to reveal how you interpret success. It's also going to show how you want to maybe be seen for your success. So for example, I have Virgo on my midheaven, and Virgo indicates that you like to be of service to other people. You are wanting to heal other people or help other people in some way. A lot of the people that have Virgo over here will want to get into some sort of healing type of career, whether that be healing people through psychology or becoming a doctor or becoming a Reiki healer or doing other things where they're in service to other people. That is that Virgo type of energy. But let's say that you have a Cancer midheaven. That indicates that you want to be a nurturer. And when you're nurturing either yourself or other people, that's where you're feeling most fulfilled. or let's say that you have a Leo midheaven, that would indicate that you see success as being in the spotlight or being really confident. And that would also indicate that you would be more inclined to a career where you're more in the spotlight, or you're being recognized for your skills or talents or accomplishments or the things that you're creating. You want that recognition, and that's how you would perceive success. So depending on what zodiac sign you have on your midheaven shows a lot about your natural inclinations towards different careers, and it will show how you perceive success and what you want to be known for. So what is it that you want to be known for? Look at the zodiac sign and look at the qualities of that zodiac sign, and you're going to reveal a lot about yourself and how you want to be known. So now let's dive into things that are a little bit more complex. We're going to be looking at the planets and the zodiac signs that those planets are in and the houses that they're in. So how do you read that? So as we talked about earlier, the houses represent the area of life that we're talking about. So each house represents a different area of life. The planet within that represents what is being expressed in that area of your life. And then the zodiac sign represents how it is being expressed in that area of your life. So let's say that you have Saturn in the 10th house in the zodiac sign of Virgo. The 10th house is the house of career, achievement, and goals. Saturn is the planet of discipline, willpower, responsibilities. So this would indicate that your responsibilities are being focused in the area of your life of career. And since it's in the zodiac sign of Virgo, that is how that planet is being expressed in that area of your life. So the planet of Saturn, of responsibilities and boundaries and discipline, is being expressed with the mask of Virgo, which is all about being of service, and it's a little bit more perfectionist and detail oriented. So that would indicate that within your career, you have a lot of responsibility. You put a lot of responsibility on yourself. You are really disciplined and really full of determination, but in a very detail oriented way where you are wanting to be of service to other people and you're very disciplined in doing so. So that's what that would indicate. But let's go ahead and take that planet and take that same zodiac sign, but move it to a different area of your life. So let's put that rather in your 7th house of relationships. So this would indicate that you might have a bit of perfectionism when it comes to the relationships in your life because of that Virgo type of energy. Saturn, it's very committed, it's very responsible. So that would indicate that in your relationships, you are very committed, you are very responsible, but you might also be a little bit picky, detail oriented. You might end up being a little bit controlling in your relationships, but at the same time, you are very dedicated and very committed. So that's how you can see how it would change based on where it is in what house. And next, let's talk about the aspects. So all those little lines that are connecting between the planets, what do they mean? What are they representing? So we have 3 different main good aspects, and then we have 2 different main harder aspects. There's more different aspects than just these 5. However, if you're doing more beginner's astrology, focusing on these 5, these are the main 5 ones that technically kind of matter the most. So let's dive into what these mean and how you can read them. So the first one is a sextile, and this is when 2 planets are about 60 degrees apart from each other. And this brings positive ease and harmony between those 2 planets. A sextile indicates that these 2 planets and the zodiac signs that they're in, they get along, they understand each other, they're feeling good. And you can also see sextiles and the different aspects by the symbols. Some astrology apps and programs show the symbol and some don't, so it kind of just depends on the app that you're using. But if a planet is about 60 degrees apart from another planet, it brings ease, positivity, and harmony. Although it's not as powerful as a trine, which we will get into next. Sextiles are still really positive, but they're a little bit weaker than a trine. So a trine is when a planet is within 120 degrees from another planet, and this creates a more triangle type of angle, and a triangle is the strongest shape. So this is one of the strongest aspects in astrology. It overpowers basically everything. It is the strongest aspect. If you have a lot of trines in your chart, this is very positive because trines bring ease and harmony between two planets. It means those two planets understand each other and empower each other. Both of those planets that are making that trine to each other, they're both empowering each other because they relate and they support one another. And then the next positive aspect is known as a conjunction, and this is when two planets are within 10 degrees of each other, so they're basically like right next to each other, and they amplify each other's energy. When you have two planets in conjunction, this is amplifying the energy of both of those planets in a very positive way. The two hard aspects are squares and oppositions. Squares are when a planet is within 90 degrees or like about 90 degrees apart from the other planet. This is creating a square energy. Squares are when two planets are not really getting along. It's kind of creating a little bit of a harder type of aspect between those two planets. This creates tension, challenge, and possible obstacles, but it also does create learning and growth. So I don't want you to see like any hard aspect and be like, oh my God, no, I have these hard aspects in my chart. That means my life's gonna be hard. It does not mean that, because you can learn these different lessons very quickly if you want to. And with conscious awareness, you can actually see how your soul wanted to evolve this lifetime, because all the challenges that we have in our life are here for our soul's evolution. So when you're looking at the different squares and oppositions that you might have in your chart, and you're looking at those hard aspects, they reveal a lot about what you came here to learn and how you came here to grow. And those growths and those learnings can eventually become your strengths. But again, that square, it does create a little bit more of that tension, a little bit more of those challenge type of energies. And then there's something known as an opposition, and this is when two planets are opposite one another. So it's at 180 degrees from each other. These are really easy to spot because again, they're at the opposite ends of the chart and they are opposing one another. This is when two planets are kind of having a face-off and they don't really get along because they're pulling in two opposite directions. They're energies that are completely opposite one another. So this does create a little bit of tension within a chart and a little bit of opposition, but these are also great learning opportunities as well. So for example, let's say that you have the sun in the 10th house, but let's say you have Venus in the 4th house. This would create an opposition because your sun in the 10th house wants to focus on career and is like, oh my God, I'm thriving, my soul feels amazing here. But then if we have Venus in the 4th house, that means our love and everything that makes us feel emotion, love, beauty, and money is resting in the 4th house. That means we're feeling very abundant. We put a lot of value on our family foundation, but it's opposing our soul, which is wanting to move in the career direction. So you might notice that you have an opposition with balancing both of those things, but this is again part of your learning this lifetime, and this is just helping you learn and grow. So if you have those oppositions, it's an area of your life that you may need to look at to find balance because you have two energies pulling in the opposite direction. And if you can balance this, then again, that leads to your growth and your evolution. So that is the basics of aspects when you're looking at the aspects and reading them, and that is how you can read them. There's also another really important thing that I want to talk about for the last aspect of this. This is looking at your north and south node. You're going to see this on your chart because they're represented by these two symbols. Your north node represents your soul's calling this lifetime, where your soul wants to move to. These are calculated points that represent eclipses actually, and they are just mathematical placements. So they're not actually like a celestial body out there in the sky, but the north node, it represents where your soul wants to go this lifetime, what it wants to move towards, its calling. Whereas your south node represents your past life, what you've already mastered and what you've already come from. A lot of us will notice that we're really good in the area of our life. So the zodiac sign and the house that your south node is in, that's usually an area of your life that you can learn very quickly, very easily. You feel comfortable there because you've already mastered it and you're already familiar with it because it's your past life and it represents your past. But the North Node is what your soul wants to move towards in the future. So it might be an area where it's like, oh, I have to get out of my comfort zone to move towards that, or I have a calling for that particular area, or to learn more about that particular thing this lifetime. So your North and South Node, that is what they represent, and you can find them within your birth chart as well. And that brings us to the end of today's video, all about the basics of how to read a birth chart, what you're looking at, and how you can begin to decipher it. I hope you enjoyed today's video as much as I enjoyed recording it for you. There's going to be so much more astrology content about how to read different things. We're going to be doing a video on how to read composite astrology. So when you're looking at two different people's birth charts, and when you add those together, you can look at the relationship between those two people. So I'm going to be doing a video on that in the future, as well as other different things like predictive astrology and looking at different transits that are coming up and how they're going to be affecting you, and also how you can look at your monthly astrology, your yearly astrology, and all that type of stuff. So if you do want to see all of that, definitely hit the subscribe button down below, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!